Hey, I'm Josh Payne with the Shed Depot, and today we're going to show you how to prepare a gravel pad for a 10 by 16 shed. A lot of customers have asked about it, and there's a lot of good ways of doing it, but today we're going to show you how we do it. So the first thing we've done is we've laid out stakes, and in this case we've got the stakes 20 feet apart by 12 feet apart. And that's because we want a little bit of a perimeter on each end so we can get the equipment in there and move it around and get the shed exactly where you want it, and a little bit on the outsides. So the first thing we do is we set our two stakes 20 feet apart on where we want our front of our shed. So the line that you want it on, set it there. The next thing we do is we set our rear stakes and we check for square. So to check for square, you want to pull across a diagonal. So here I've got 280 inches by 280 inches. If you need to move stakes around, you want to make sure those diagonals are equal. That means you have a square. In this case, we're going to be doing some grading work, so you only got to get close. You can do the final tweaks at the end. All right, the next thing we need to do is we need to check for slope. So we want to know how much this ground slopes from the upper side to the lower side. And we can do that real easy with a 99-cent line level and some mason's twine. We want to make sure the grass is down and doesn't get in our way. Again, this is just kind of getting an idea. We're only trying to get close at this point, but get your line as low to the ground as you can. Make sure the grass isn't messing with it. So I've got 8.5 inches of fall from our top corner to our low corner. So that tells us about how much we're gonna have to build up this low side to be even with the top side. Now we're gonna mark our corners. Again, we made this 12 by 20, even though we're only trying to do this for a 10 by 16 shed. We want extra room on the ends, which you'll see why later. And then, so now we're gonna mark it so our grading guys can get to work. So we're gonna remove our stake. Last thing before our grading guys get in here is we want to give them some marks to go by that aren't going to get taken away. So we're going to come out maybe 6 or 8 inches. That way he has something easy to go by. All right, now that we've got our topsoil cleared off, you want to make sure you're down to good hard dirt. What I've got is a probe. You can get one in any plumbing supply house. It's got a pointed tip on it, about 1.5 inches long. Just kind of give it a good push, and as long as it doesn't go in much above the tip of that probe, you know you're down to some pretty good solid dirt. If it is soft steel, you can get landscape fabric and put it down, and that will bridge the bad places, and it'll be good to set your shed on. You want to make sure that you've got still a little bit of slope here from the top side to the lower side. In case any water does get into this rock after we put it down, it will drain out the back side. We want to start building up with our 4x6 pressure treated lumber. This is rated for ground contact, and we're going with 4 inches in this dimension and 6 inches in this dimension. We've notched the corners so that we can overlap the sides and tie everything together. Now in this case, the 6-inch pressure treated lumber is a couple inches above the topsoil on the front side. And the reason we've done that is because before we finish completely, we're gonna come in and taper the topsoil away from the building and push the water around the building instead of making it go underneath the building, which we don't want. So now that we've got our alignment on our front side, we want to work on this left side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dig a trench and set this in. Now again, this is treated and rated for ground contact, so it can be used in the ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our alignment and we're going to dig down so that this board is level from front to back. So we're gonna dig out here. It'll sit on top back there, but we're gonna dig a little trench to get this down and make sure we get this one level, and then we'll be able to work off of that. So now that we've got this one dug in flush in the front and level all the way to the back, we're going to screw in temporarily our front board with just a 3-inch screw just to hold it temporarily. And we don't want to screw in the middle because we're going to run an 8-inch bolt later. So this is just temporary to hold them together. Now we're going to do the same thing with our other end. All right, now that we got our timber perimeter done and temporarily tacked in place with some shorter screws, we're gonna check all the corners, make sure we're good and square. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect because the building's gonna sit inside the pad. And we're also gonna recheck our level and make any adjustments before we put the stone down. Now we're gonna tie all these together permanently. So we've got an 8-inch lag screw. We're gonna put one in each corner, and then we're gonna put them about every 4 feet just to tie these two boards together. They don't want to push apart over time. You don't need a whole lot, just enough to tie them together. All right, now we've got a lower band in the front and on the back, and we've got our top band on the back. And you see we've got 8 inches here with our notches, and we've got some temporary screws. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put an 8-inch lag screw to go all the way down into the bottom of this band in each corner. But we don't want to do it right in the center. We want to pre-drill so it doesn't split, and we want to do it offset, and I'll show you a little bit more on why that is in a minute. But just make sure you have plenty of meat and do it offset so you can run another one through the top in just a minute. So now that we've got the lower 3 tied together, we're going to use another inch to tie the top 3 together, and that'll hold it securely. We want to make sure we don't drill in the same place as we put the lower one. So this time I'm going to come about 1 inch in on the other side, and I'm going to pre-drill first. All right, now that we've got our corners securely tied together with 2 8-inch lag bolts to tie the lowers and the uppers, all 3 pieces, we need to tie our upper band and our lower band together on the sides and on the back. And we'll do that about every 4 feet, and 8 inches will be plenty because we're just trying to keep this from bowing out a little bit. So now we're level, we're square, we've got all of our pieces of lumber securely tied together, and we're ready for stone.
Today we used 67 wash stone because it's 100% compactable, and that's what you need to use as long as you got a form around it. And after we filled the bed, we cut a little bit of a swell along the top to divert any water from running under the bed to run around the pad. And I think that might hip it out a little bit, and I think it's how it should be done.